Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason.
And I'm Amy.
And we're bringing you today's episode of Crossfire. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of content coming out every single day. And be sure to tune into our Thursday premiere videos at 6 o'clock where we will have live chat with Sin City Living. You guys can log on in and ask us any questions, give us suggestions on videos, or just in general BS with us. We're more than happy to do that.
Come in and say hi.
Right before she says bye.
That's right.
And
because I'll be here lurking too.
It's all leading up to our live streams that we want to do in the next 6 to 12 weeks. Maybe sooner, hopefully sooner. All kind of depend on whether or not we can get the equipment upgraded, how quick it'll be. Thank you very much to Wes and everybody else that has given us a super chat or super sticker tip during those live chats. It's just going to help us get this equipment all that much faster. But either way, we're going to get these live chats or live streams going and do our fan participation craps tournament and maybe a blackjack tournament.
And you'll get to see us in real time.
Who knows what else we're going to have in absolutely real time. Always the best. Make sure to get my good side.
You have one?
Backside.
And,
no. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get into today's video. So today's episode of Crossfire, we're going to talk about some of the worst mistakes new dealers can make.
And there are a lot.
And there are definitely a bunch. Some of the more obvious ones, of course, are things like timeless and stuff like that.
But there's a lot that you won't really think about either.
There's a whole bunch that are very dealer specific. Now, as far as the obvious ones go, like say not being late and things like that, one thing about casinos that is very unique. If you've worked in a lot of industries, especially like I spent 20 years in the restaurant industry and upper management, and while of course timeliness is an issue in most jobs, in every job, timeliness is an issue. When people are 1 or 2 minutes late, nothing's really said unless it's habitual. But if someone comes in, a minute late, but then tomorrow they come in 2 minutes early, nobody says anything. It's not going to be any kind of deal made of it. With casinos, however, it absolutely will be made into an issue because the consequence chain for things like that, your direct supervisors are actually not in that chain. So if you come and you clock in a minute late, it's going to be the time office or HR that is going to send you right up down to the shift manager or casino manager to have you sign it. It's not their decision. They can't say, no, we're not going to write them up on it or anything. It is the policy in the casino, in your handbook, from your orientation. They have the time card, the computer right here. It says you clocked in a minute late. Here's your write-up for being late, or here's your points for being late. And now you are at X number of points. Here is your termination form. You can show up 1 minute late every 2 weeks, and you won't make it 3 months before you are fired in most casinos.
And another thing is breaks are run on very, very tight schedules. And a minute plus or minus in any direction is going to have a ripple effect. Not only does it affect the people you're tapping, but likely that person's going to say, well, you know what, I got screwed out of this minute, I'm going to take my minute, and then the next one gets screwed, and it keeps going and going and going and going. Not to mention, you're going to make a lot of enemies if you're screwing people out of their break time.
Craps dealers tend to take their breaks slightly different than card dealers. We tend to come back earlier. We tend to leave on our breaks a little bit earlier, and we tend to come back a little bit earlier. And it generally started out because of the whole having to roll people through 3 spots. I tap out the stick person who taps out first base, who taps out second base, or second and third base actually.
Who's on first?
And then they go on their break. So because of that potential minute to 2 minutes of people moving around, they tend to come back earlier, which then causes people to leave earlier. So we still take the same 20-minute break, but we tend to take it earlier. And I can think off the top of my head of 2 dealers that I work with, and I know there's more, but 2 dealers primarily that I work with, that our shift especially is known for that. We go a couple minutes before the card side, and we come back a couple minutes before the card side. But there are 2 people I can think of that will go when they're tapped out and will come back with the card dealers. So they're taking a 22-minute break every single time, and the rest of their crew absolutely despises them. And every dealer knows about it. They don't care, but they are not well liked because of that. So yes, the breaks are very, 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 very important. Another common mistake that brand new dealers can make is getting cocky. A lot of dealers, once they've been dealing for about 2 to 4 months, suddenly start thinking they've got this mastered. Like, I've been doing it long enough, I'm comfortable, this has gotten easy, I don't have to think about it, I've arrived, I am a dealer now, I got this. And in reality,
I'm the god of this pit.
Yeah, and in reality, you're still a break-in with minimal, barely sufficient skills for a low-end casino. These dealers think it happens a lot with craps. There's a reason that the saying with craps that is very true, that it takes 3 to 5 years of dealing it before you become an okay dealer. You don't actually become a craps dealer until you've been dealing for 3 to 5 years. Yet everyone starts to get cocky.
Hey, congratulations, you're a craps dealer.
You're a craps dealer now. The 2 to 4 month mark where everyone starts getting cocky. And then they start taking shortcuts, they start getting sloppy, they start getting arrogant with their dealing or their interactions with the floors, and it almost never ends well for them. Those are the people that once they've been dealing for 5 or 6 years wonder why they haven't been selected to become dual rates.
Or they start trying to do all these flashy press moves and flashy shortcuts and, hey, look at me, I'm such a great dealer, look what I can do.
And they never realize that when they watch the absolute best dealers, those absolute best dealers are very by the book, very procedural, slow moving. At least it looks like they're slow moving. In reality, they're moving
precise
very
moving,
quickly, and they do it all correct. And those dealers are highly respected.
and it translates to the card side too. I mean, you'll see the best dealers are precise and every movement is exact, but it's not slow. It's very, 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 very well thought out. They're a well-oiled machine. I mean, they don't have to think about their payouts. They don't have to think about, the proper way to do this or the proper way to do that, or doing flashy things or cutting corners, or, I mean, the best dealers you're going to see doing things 100% procedurally and by the book, or at least 95%.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. And actually, just get me thinking about what could possibly be the biggest mistake brand new dealers can make. Fixing their own mistakes.
Oh God, yes.
You make a mistake as a dealer, no matter how minor, no matter how obvious the fix is.
Your first instinct is going to be to fix it.
Exactly, because it's a reflex.
No.
Do not fix your own mistakes.
Nope.
You go around. Let's say you.
I've seen many a dealer fired for that.
Let's say somebody has a blackjack. You're not even thinking. You size into their bet. You scoop the cards, put them away, go to the next player, and this player's like, just takes them a second to notice. So you're on the next player, and they're like, hey, I don't think you paid me enough. And you look and you're like, oh man, you're right. You bet $10. I paid you $10. I'm supposed to pay you 15. You just almost instinctively want to just grab a red chip and give it to them. And that is wrong. What you do is you call the floor over, you explain what happened, and then the floor will say, okay, go ahead and pay them. I see it happen a lot in craps. You took my bet up. Oh, they just put it right back.
Another thing is, go ahead, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'll get it back.
It derailed.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My train of thought hit a brick wall and no survivors.
So yeah, fixing your own bet, very, 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 very bad. And what's funny is, as a dealer gets much better, and especially the ones that always follow procedure and stuff like that, they get a lot better at what they're doing. They get much more trusted, much more respected, and yet those ones are still least likely to fix their own mistake. Not going to say that instinctively sometimes we don't look, oh man, I just finished a payout, I handed off, and before I even made it back, I'm like, I shorted you $1. There you go. That does happen from time to time, but 90% of the time, the most trusted dealers, you have a dealer that's a dual rate. They might sit box one shift and then deal the next shift. It's still going to, when they're dealing, say, hey, I owe them $1. They may not even have to tell you why. They're just going to say, I screwed up, I owe them $1. And the floor's going to say, oh, go ahead. Because they trust them.
One of the biggest things and advice I have for new dealers or maybe ones that aren't confident yet. If you make a mistake, own up to it. The bosses are going to have a lot more respect for you, and that trust is going to be fostered a lot easier and a lot quicker if when you call them over, you say, hey, I made a mistake, I did this, instead of going, well, this happened and it's because the player did this. Or don't bullshit, don't lie, don't deflect. Just tell them what happened as matter-of-factly as possible and own up to it if it was your mistake.
And mistakes happen, and that's the thing that floors know. So many new dealers seem to think that never making a mistake, being perceived as never making a mistake is what's going to get them recognized as phenomenal dealers. And no, not at all, because everybody makes mistakes. I know dealers that are absolutely fantastic and that are dual rates and have been for years. They just didn't want to promote up or whatever. That still make the silliest, most simple mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, especially when you're dealing with like 16 people's bets.
But just be honest.
And then it's like, oh man, that's good.
If you get a reputation for being a liar, or for not telling the truth, or exaggerating, or throwing people under the bus, then you're not going to be very well liked amongst your peers, the other dealers, or amongst the bosses. You're not going to have the same respect as this guy over here who, when he makes a mistake, immediately owns up to it and gets it resolved and tells the truth when asked what happened.
My general method when I make a screw up, if I catch it myself, then I'll just tell the box, and hey, I messed up, I owe them $3 more. If they ask, I'll tell them exactly what happened. But when it's just a few bucks, they usually don't ask. They just say, okay, go ahead, because they assume that if I'm saying, hey, I messed up, then I know what I'm talking about. And then you got the ones where I don't catch it, somebody else, the box catches it, and I never argue. Usually I'll make kind of a joke out of it or something like that. Like, I'm going where, a roll goes and I'm doing everything, and I finish up, I go to stand up, and the box is like, you gonna pay the field? Yeah, when I get to it. I'm gonna pay it now because I want to. I mean, I made a mistake. What am I gonna do?
Right.
I'm gonna
don't
pay
get defensive, don't argue.
Never argue with the suit. When it comes to dealing with the boss, there are two answers that are acceptable. Yes, or I don't understand. That's it. If the box, for crap's sake, says, you owe that player $1, freezing and not moving so you can sit there and think about your payout is not the right answer. The right answer is to give them $1. It does not, at that point, it actually does not matter if you were right or wrong. Maybe you didn't make a mistake. Maybe the box messed up, because again, if dealers make mistakes, boxes make mistakes.
But your job is not to question.
But it doesn't matter. The box is the one who told you to give him money. You give the money. You don't argue with him. Say, no, I don't. I paid him. Just give him the money.
Yep.
Period. Don't argue with a suit.
Because
ever.
that's career suicide.
It is either I don't understand or yes.
And if you truly think that there was something wrong, wait till you get off the game and approach them away from the players. You're not going to undermine their authority and make them look bad in front of people. I mean, that's just disrespectful. I mean, that's respect 101. If you truly believe that something was wrong with what happened, approach them in private.
Every time I make a mistake and I get corrected by either the box or one of the other dealers, I always thank them for correcting me too.
Yep.
Hey, thanks, my bad. Because they're doing their job.
Absolutely.
And we're making sure that the players are taken care of.
And
now,
happy.
once you've been dealing for a while, if you make few enough mistakes, or you have certain areas where you are really excel at, even then you still don't want to argue with the box. Like my specialty, I would say, what I'm probably best at is probably the center action on dice. I can do those calculations pretty quick. My problem is I tend to do them so fast that I might miss something like one of their other bets they had up or something. So I still make mistakes like anybody else. But in a situation like on when I'm on stick and I've got a bunch of complicated bets, and I say, hey, pay that player X amount. Typically the boxes won't say anything if they're still figuring out the payouts. But if the box says no, pay him this much, if I'm at least 90% sure I'm right, I might go, are you sure? as I go, okay, go. I might say, are you sure? As I go, okay, go ahead and cut out X amount. Because when I say, are you sure? That's telling the box, I'm pretty sure of my calculation, and most of them are going to stop and rerun it through their head. But I still tell the dealer, cut out the amount that they told us to cut out and hand it off to the player. So by the time they cut it out, the box has probably recalculated it out. Or the box may even say, because if I say, are you sure? And then say, hey, start cutting out the box, may say, oh, well, hold on, let me check. And double check themselves. But if I'm not at least in the 90 to 95 percentile probability, surety that I'm correct, I don't even say that much. I don't even ask if they're sure. I just, okay, there you go. If it's a really big one, if I say, give that player $234 and the box says, no, I'll give them, $418.
Whoa.
That's one that I might go, are you sure? And then read out the payouts as I go. This pays this, this pays this, this pays this, because it's really, really, really big. Because if it's big enough, I don't want the box to get in trouble either. One of us is wrong, and it doesn't really matter who's wrong. Nobody's going to get in trouble as long as we pay it out right.
Right. That's the thing, paying it out right.
So that's one of the jokes of the dealers I work with when we have improper bets is, don't worry, we can pay anything wrong.
And another word of advice I can give to the noob dealers: don't fall into the mindset that the burnout dealers have. Don't let them drag you down into the mindset of this sucks, players suck, this industry sucks.
Be rude and short to everybody.
Exactly. Do not fall into that trap. I've seen so many good dealers ruined by the mindset of another burnt out dealer.
And before we end this video, I want to throw that out there for any long-time dealers that may be approaching the burnout phase and such like that. I just want to ask is, why would you want to go to work miserable every day? Yeah. I really enjoy going to work. That's why I work as many extra days as I can, because I don't mind being at work. Sure, there's some players that just drive me bonkers, but
it's fun.
I enjoy my job. I enjoy the people I work with. I have worked in enough different industries to understand how insanely easy my job is, both physically and mentally. It's not a hard job at all.
And honestly, life is what you make it.
And I'm not going to spend 40 hours a week miserable.
Yep.
And making those around me miserable. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. When I've been absolutely miserable with a job, I left it and went somewhere else.
Yeah. That's what I think a lot of people need in the industry that have been doing it for a long time, that are either at burnout or reaching burnout, need to take a little bit of a vacation, like a genuine vacation.
Notice too that most of the ones that are that way never did anything else. Like
True.
they never did. They turned 21. They went to a dealing school. They started dealing. And to them, this is the worst job in the world. These players are horrible. This job just sucks. All these players, these regulars, these this, these that, these strokers, this, that, everything is just miserable. But then I know people that have been in this industry for 20 years that have just amazing attitudes. Yeah, sure, they get irritated with some players, but when I talk to them, like, what'd you do before you did this? I worked for construction for a couple of years. I was in retail for a year. I worked in the office for 4 years. So they have enough of a job experience to understand that this job
is a cushy gig.
Easy. So I hope you guys find this interesting, illuminating, enlightening, at least just plain fun. We will catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye now.